Hello there, and welcome back to the SWTVC podcast, the audio home of the SWTVC crew and the ongoing push for the continued existence, expansion, and success of the heritage scale of Star Wars collecting. I run out of breath every time on that. I'm your host, Evan Fries, or as you've probably figured out by this point, that guy on Instagram that goes by Mile High Ground. Well, hey, it's already March. Today is a big day for Star Wars fans. After waiting for what feels like an eternity, the cultural phenomenon is back and better than ever. Some of you may have even stayed up late in anticipation of its launch. That's right. SWTVC March Madness 2023 has begun. Woo! The bracket is sorted. The top 25 submissions from across the Star Wars collecting community have been painstakingly compiled, and 64 beloved Star Wars characters are, once again, entering the arena to battle it out for supremacy to determine who will be victorious and claim the coveted title of TVC's Most Wanted over the coming weeks. Of course, I can't do any of this by myself. In fact, I almost did none of it. To reveal and walk through this year's March Madness bracket and the characters that will be competing for all of our collective love and attention, I'm joined today by the man who did just about all of the math and tabulations to make this year's SWTVC March Madness tournament possible. At the Vintage Concepts himself, John Lindquist.
Hello, hello.
Ooh, don't sound so excited.
I was trying to think of a March Madness. There's just been so many numbers. I can't think of any puns at the moment. I'm sorry, everybody.
You know, speaking of that, now that I've got you here, John, this episode is actually a wellness check. Are you okay? Are you still employed? Yes. Are your loved ones still around? Are they concerned about you? Was this worth it?
The first three, yes. Last one, I'm not quite sure yet. We'll find out as we go through the lists.
For sure.
We'll see.
I wrote down here that instead of a single night of 1,000 tears, I assume it felt more like 1,000 nights of tears.
There were some, yes. Some from sadness, some just from staring at a screen of white for hours going, oh my God, okay, it's the same, similar lists. You know, everybody wants the same thing. We all know what we want.
Yeah.
But now we know for a fact what we all want.
Yes. You've got the numbers to back it up.
Yes.
Let's see the Black Series page do that.
Yes. Here's 700 unfiltered comments. Just your problem now, guys.
Oh, man. The things we do for love, right?
God bless him, yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. The Mandalorian also premiered today. That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways. Well, do we want to really quick do a brief recap of March Madness? I know we did an episode last week, the two of us, that kind of recapped March Madness 2021, the very first one, and March Madness 2022. So if you're interested in hearing more about that in detail, check out last week's episode, the aptly named or the amazingly named by John, episode 51 in the multiverse of March Madness. So this week, we're not going to be recapping everything. We're going to be talking about this year.
Yes. I will say, as we get into it, that we got 671 or thereabouts lists this year. As we mentioned, that was up from 435 last year of your top 25 most wanted vintage collection figures. Not everyone put 25, as we said. This is how we built it. If you don't like what's on it, that's fine, because we all had our own lists, and we all have our own wants and likes and dislikes, and some of us like long walks on the beach, and some of us want to cozy up next to the fire. But yeah, that's how we built it. We're not going to get into it all. I just want to reiterate, this is not officially endorsed by Hasbro in any way or anything. This has absolutely no bearing officially on what is made. Half of this stuff is probably already pipelined or on the drawing board for all we know. And some of it may never come ever. There are no guarantees here. It is just something fun that we like to do. And we hope you like it as well. So there you go. A lot of crazy characters. There were, in fact, by my count, 1,539 different characters or character appearances submitted this year, compared to about 1,277 last year, 1,277 if you want to count it that way. So that's a jump of about 250-ish, a good jump, not insanely huge. There are only so many characters to go around before we get to assistant editors who played Jedi in the background of the Geonosis battle. And I think these lists covered just about all of them.
On last week's episode, I mistakenly said that there were 1,500 some characters listed last year. I guess I was just I was a week ahead of the curve on that one. So
you were having visions, and much like Anakin in Revenge of the Sith, I've been waking up in the middle of the night, sweating, dreaming about lists, going, oh my God, I've just premonitions, terrible premonitions.
Well, now I know what I have to Photoshop for this week's episode cover.
Oh my God.
Yep. Oh, all right. Well, are you ready for this, John?
I'm ready. So before we get into the top 64 this year, you can do a whole nice introduction for that in a second. Let's have a few honorable mentions. I'll give you two, since there are a few others around, low 60s, high 70s that were on the bracket last year but did not make it. And I don't want to spoil anything on the bracket so far, so we'll get to that in a minute.
Because out of the 1,539 characters, only 64 can make the bracket.
It's a badge of honor for all of them. We want all of them as vintage collection figures.
Yep.
They would all be awesome. I would welcome all of them.
Sign me up for VC number 1,526.
So someone who was not on the bracket, as I mentioned off the show, I have about 4,000 different documents open here. So please bear with me, folks, as I pull everything up. So let's start with, I'll give you two. So number 66 didn't quite make it, was Greedo, he's kind of hovering around the bracket every year, never quite making it. And number 65 was the Return of the Jedi version of Mon Mothma. Does that give you a little hint for what else might be on the bracket? We shall see. We shall see.
I like that's how close were they?
They were about 9. Mon Mothma was 9 points away from number 64. Greedo had 785. Mon Mothma had 821. To that point, I will say, I had a little note here. Everyone had more points this year. So the number 64 character last year got 479 points. And this year, the number 64 character got 821 points. So not quite double, but close to double. And this is, of course, because as you rank your choices on your lists, the number 1 choice gets 25 points, number 2 gets 24, right on down to number 1. Number 25 gets 1 point, as we discussed last week. I'm not going to get into that again, but I will say last year, the highest ranked number 1 figure, which was Count Dooku, got 2,431 points. This year, the top-ranked character got more than double that with 5,274. So there was quite a bit more love to go around for all these characters this year, which was interesting. And so even some of the characters that fell off the bracket got more points than they did last year. There was just more points all around to go around. So there you go.
Well, as you said, we'd love to collect them all. I certainly would.
Yes.
But yes, there can only be the top 100, there can only be the 64 on the bracket, and ultimately there can only be one champion.
I was going to say, was that in the Highlander where they said there can only be 64? I can't quite remember.
Yeah. I think Sean Connery said that at one point.
Yeah. I know Captain Panaka's in that. I know Savage Opress is in that. But maybe one of those characters is on the bracket. Maybe one is not. We shall find out shortly.
Coming in at number 1, Captain Panaka.
There was quite a bit of love for Captain Panaka. Not quite enough, though. But all right.
All right, John, let's count them down. And before we do, let me just say that I do not know this list. I am not privy to this top 64 list. John has been calculating this himself. This is my first time hearing it. We're recording this a couple days before everybody gets to see it. So I am waiting with bated breath. I think I have an idea of where some things are going to be, how some things are going to do, and some of the things are going to be on there, but I'm along for the ride. I can't wait to see how this all shakes out.
Yes. Do you want to know how many new characters are on the list, first of all, before we get started, or should that wait till the end?
Let's save that for the end.
Save it for the end. That's a little tease for you. There are new characters. Wow. Stunning. All right. Here we go. Number 64 is Finn from The Rise of Skywalker. He was number 63 last year, number 44 in 2021.
He's hanging in there.
Hovering around there. I will say Poe didn't make it this year. He's always hovering a little bit below Finn because we at least got a Poe from Rise of Skywalker in the vintage collection.
I think that's interesting. I was actually curious if Finn was going to make the bracket because I know he'd made the last couple of years and, all of the sequel's bad stuff like, whatever. That's a main character that is a main character in 3 films that is not in the vintage collection. The best we have is the now woefully out of date figure from 2015, the Walmart Black Series line. So, and his Rise of Skywalker outfit is the coolest one he has. So that makes sense. I'm glad to see him.
Yeah, so still waiting on him. All right, number 63 is a character new to the bracket this year. They came in at number 98 last year. It's the AT-AT driver, or the AT-AT driver, if you will, from The Empire Strikes Back.
Okay. And we do have the vehicle for him to drive, so that's cool.
We do have the vehicle. We've got plenty of AT-AT drivers. There was even one in one of the 3 packs back in the day in TVC 1.0, which was the Legacy Collection version. I think the one that came with the AT-AT was the Saga Collection version. But, we could use a new one, clearly.
We could. I don't know how crazy they need to get with it. I mean, what does he need to do? But you know what? Cool troopers are cool troopers, so I'm down. I like it.
And it's a Finish the 96 choice, which I did not count those all up, but we have some breakdowns at the end of this. We don't have every breakdown because I clearly just forgot some of them. Anyway.
And we've got a whole month.
Yes. Number 62 was another new character, number 92 on the lists last year. Black Series recently showed him, even though he's pipelined almost a year ago for that line. It's Ki-Adi-Mundi, everyone's favorite. If they took Obi-Wan and just stretched his head out, that was actually the design director for him. But so haven't had an all-new version since 2005 for Revenge of the Sith. They did a little bit of an update in 2007 for one of the battle packs.
It's got the swivel elbows, yeah?
He's got the swivel elbows, yeah.
Okay. I have that figure and I was just posing it the other day and it's actually really nice.
Yeah.
But I would absolutely love, I think with any and all Jedi characters, especially Jedi and Sith force wielding characters, they need that modern articulation.
Yes, so that he can stand on a bridge and deflect one shot and then not deflect a whole lot of shots.
Well, yeah.
And I forgot there of course was a Clone Wars version in the animated line over a decade ago, which was the most updated version we have, other than now the 6-inch version, of course. Wrong scale. All right. Number 61 is another new character. So 3 new characters in a row. Was number 77 last year. And again, Black Series got this character recently. I'll say got her recently. Folks, it's Princess Leia Organa. Which one? Ewok Village from Return of the Jedi. And I'll say a lot of these characters near the bottom, they've been hovering around. Some of them drop off. Some of them come on. It's, their time to shine towards the bottom of the bracket, towards the bottom of the list. But haven't had a new Ewok Leia since there was 2 of them in 98. Yeah. The all plastic one, and there was the one with soft goods in the Leia collection. And they repainted that one, or they reworked that one in like 2006 for a commemorative 10. So either way, it's been
too long.
25 years since an all-new sculpt and almost 20 years since any release of her at all.
When was the last time TVC got any all-new tooled Leia?
I do not know. That is a fact I do not have up here.
It's been a while. I'll just say that. I don't know it, but it definitely, we haven't gotten one in 2.0.
Probably Bespin gown Leia at the tail end of TVC 1.0.
Yeah.
Here's a little spoiler. I'll give you a little spoiler. This is not the last we will see of Leia on this list today.
All right. So it's a game of how many Leias?
This game, yes. Number 60, not a Leia. It was 49 last year, 79 2 years ago. It's Tame Drin Garen, a.k.a. the man who shot Luke Skywalker. Not that one. That's a different guy, but yeah. The man in the films who shot Luke Skywalker.
That was on several lists. People just put the guy who shoots Luke's hand.
Yep.
And I was like, very cool. Very cool.
And it's up to us to know these things. And yes, I also saw on somebody's list there was a skiff or a sail barge damage Luke version, which I think we have gotten that in the past, but I'm sure they could just do a nice little 2-pack of those guys or something, have Tame and then have Luke with an exposed damaged hand. Get some deco in there.
That'd be neat.
Call it a day. it's as exciting as the Obi-Wan versus Vader duel and 2-pack that's coming. So why not the other iconic duel? Tame versus Luke. All right, number 59, a character who was 39 last year, 71 and 2 years ago, and part of the perhaps Complete the Crest initiative from the episode The Prisoner Q90, aka Zero. Also goes with Frog Lady, of course, obviously, from the season 2 episode where she uses him to talk to Mando. So, great Richard Ayoade to the voice. These are all the Zero facts that I know. So, there you go. Number 58 was number 40 last year. Another Return of the Jedi character. It's Shasa Teal.
The infamous Sheet of Shasa Teal.
Yes, the Sheet of Shasa Teal. You see her. I think it's her. I'm not actually sure. Shasa sounds like a woman's name. I don't know how the Ishitib separate their genders. I have no clue on that. But Shasa is on Luke's card. She was actually photoshopped out back in the 80s, and not photoshopped, but airbrushed out. And there's another Ishitib in the Jabba's palace who often goes unloved, Hark Seth. I don't know the differences in the costumes, but you're a fake fan if you only know Shasa Teal and not Hark Seth. So,
well, I'm a fake fan. Fake fan. I have no idea who that is.
Number 57, it's Kira from Solo. More specifically, most people voted for her Kessel version. She was 42 last year, 70 in 2021, so didn't make the bracket that year.
She was on my top 25. That's nice. I like that.
And I did make a note of who was on everybody's top 25, but so I will not be chiming in on that yet.
I won't say it for every single one of them, but
do it.
Figure since it's the first one from my list that's popped up. That's cool. I'm not crazy, guys.
So number 56 was another one of our friends. We'll be very happy to hear this. It was very prominent on his list. This character was 100 last year, was not on the bracket either time. It's Garindan or Garandan. Tim, Bosk's Bounty, this one's for you, buddy. So finally, the Kubez spy is participating in the bracket. One character that we've never had, but was on the bracket last year at the very bottom, number 62, now 55, is Fozek from Jabba's Palace. Very prominent in a lot of Jabba's Palace scenes. I think actually there is another character, the incredibly well-named, unidentified, shirtless male skiff guard, they both wear like Lando's chest piece, but they got nips out because they want to air them out. They want to get a nice tan going.
Yeah.
They don't
Those
want the
twin
chafing.
sons, man.
Yep. They're burning bright, baby. But so Fozek is back on the bracket. Number 54, another repeat character from both times. They were 27 2 years ago, 47 last year, 54 now. It's Chopper, aka C-110P from Rebels, not the last Rebels character we will see today.
I was going to say, never mind. That would probably spoil who's coming up. I was just curious of where the Rebels characters were last year, but we'll talk about it probably as we go.
Yes, we just may. So where am I here? All right, number 53, a new appearance on the bracket, but this character has already appeared previously. Who could it be? I already told you there was more Leias coming. It's another Leia. It's Princess Leia Organa. Which version? The Obi-Wan Kenobi version, Child Leia. Can you believe it?
Yes, she made the bracket?
She did make the bracket. Your number 2 choice.
Oh my God, that's awesome. I love that.
Yep. That's pretty cool to see.
She deserves it.
She appeared a lot. I don't want to spoil anything, but yes. The more people that specified wanted the green tunic. That's kind of what she's wearing for most of her adventure with Obi-Wan, correct? So that would be probably the way to go. We already have Lola. We already have a couple of Obi-Wans. We already have several Obi-Wans now.
Yeah.
So we just need a Leia for him to protect. He's got no purpose in life right now.
He feels incomplete. He feels like he's just a wandering Jedi.
Wandering around his cave like a sad sack, just worried about Luke. Luke's fine, man. Leia needs your help. And Leia's in the bracket.
Real Jedi don't run away. Real Jedi don't go into exile.
Who would ever do that? Some of these Jedi might need guarding. Perhaps from number 52, Jedi Temple Guard, who was number 54 last year, number 50 in 2021. So he's right in between.
That's pretty consistent.
It's consistent. It's actually shocking how much consistency there is across the years. As we expand the bracket to more places and more people get the word out.
Expand the universe, if you will.
Yes, if you will. Perhaps everybody's wants from different sites and groups are not that different after all.
Who knew?
Anyway, so these guys appear both in Clone Wars and in Rebels. It's a slightly different look in Rebels. I think I combined them, but it's, one would beget the other.
It's intended to be the same though, right? It's just an animation style difference? Or?
Maybe. It has less like fewer robes in Rebels and stuff when the Grand Inquisitor appears to Kanan as a
because robes are expensive.
Vision. Yes, to animate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So makes sense. Number 51 was number 35 last year, number 88 in 2021. It's on a currently airing television program. He's the best riot racer in the Outer Rim. It's Tech.
Love it.
Tick. He is right next to another member of the team, number 50, Iko, who was number 33 last year, number 104 in 2021. So some of these guys, they slid a little bit, but what has happened in the last year, there was no new Bad Batch at all in 2022. Season 1 ended late 2021, and Season 2 started a couple days into the submissions. It started January 4th. I think we started getting submissions on the 2nd or 3rd, right?
Yeah.
We know Hunter's coming. Hunter ranked very high last year. So maybe people assume they're coming. Maybe people are, tired of waiting and they just throwing their hands up. But Tech and Echo are on the bracket at 51 and 50.
I like that. That's good. I want Tech's racer from season 2. But
right, racer. That'd be awesome. With Teo, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You can't do it without Teo.
Yes. And it's nice to see Tech and Echo still together, even though Echo may have turned his back on the Batch for a little bit in the series at the moment.
Whoa.
Spoilers. He'll come back. Someone who is not coming back, unless it's a prequel series, but it would be number 49, Savage Opress, who is dead as a doornail. He's 49 right now. He was 53 last year, 54 previously. He did very well, well above his weight class in both brackets. Yes, we do have a lot of Mandalorian characters from season 5, where he and Maul, tried to take control of Mandalore before Palpatine said, I don't think so, guys. So it'd be awesome to get him in. Some people wanted the armored version. Some people wanted the shirtless version. Some people wanted the cyborg arm version. But, any of them would be awesome and could probably lead to the others. It's Clone Wars 20. It's not just Return of the Jedi 40. It's Clone Wars 20. Clone Wars in general 20. So, as always, there's a fair amount of Clone Wars love on this list. And Savage is just one of many.
He would make for a great deluxe figure, if you ask me, because you could pack him in with a swappable arm.
Yep.
That's
a good idea. Yep. I'm okay with that kind of swappable body part because it's a fake body part. Okay, it's a cybernetic thing. Not just a disgusting head floating around in the bubble. Anyway.
For more on that, listen to any episode from the past.
Number 48, someone who does take pleasure in separating limbs. I guess I don't know about that. Anyway,
what?
It's EV99.
Okay, that makes sense. That's good.
Who doesn't quite oversee the torture, but at number 48 now, 43 last year, 62 previously.
Okay.
Appeared in Book of Boba Fett and The Mandalorian. Maybe not that specific EV99 droid from Return of the Jedi. Another finished in the 96 would be great in the Palace playset, of course, the throne room we've got coming up.
This would be a good year for it. Return of the Jedi 40, but
another one in the same category is number 47, A Man a Man.
Nice.
Number 58 last year, number 102 in 2021. So keeps rising up the ranks a little bit. Keeps hunting those heads. All right, I hope you're sitting down for this. Number 46 was number 45 last year, quite consistent. Number 31 2 years ago, but it's the good boy. It's Ben Solo, Exegol.
Third year in a row, my boy made it on the bracket.
He's on the bracket.
Okay. I didn't think he was going to make it this year.
He's got to make it. He's on.
And he's higher than Garandan. Hey, Tim. So,
but he's slightly lower than another very similar character. Very, very, very similar character. Might have the same legs, a lot of things, but not the same heart, not the same soul. Number 45, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren.
Oh, so they were neck and neck?
Next to each other. Yep. Neck and
neck. That's fun.
There was about a 31 point difference, if I'm doing the math correct.
That's close, man.
So Supreme Leader Kylo was 55 last year, 26 in 2021. So holding steady around the middle of the bracket. Yes, it would be nice. Of course, we have the episode 7 Kylo, but an episode 9 Kylo would beget Ben Solo because he doesn't change his pants when he goes to Exegol.
Who changes their pants for things?
Yeah, no. He's wearing the sweater underneath, but it would also beget, a Last Jedi version, perhaps. I wouldn't want them to use the legs from the Force Awakens version because they're just a little outdated now, but
yeah,
they could if they had to. I wouldn't cry too much, but
yeah, I'll take that figure. However we can get it. I've said it before. Give it to me in a greasy paper bag if I have to. No, I'll take it. So
yes,
that's awesome, man. There's some staying power for, again, going back to the thing. Like, I know the sequels are not super popular with everybody, to say the least. I get it. I know. But there's some staying power for, just like some of these mains and the things that were iconic and in the public consciousness for the better part of a decade of the modern Star Wars era. So yeah, that's cool. We're overdue Kylo Ren at least. So, and of course I'm going to stand for Ben Solo. So
of course. And I don't think anybody's saying, we got to flood the market with nothing but sequel characters.
Yeah.
Right now. I mean, there was years of them all over the place. And obviously it was unfortunate that TVC didn't come back until, after two movies were already out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, some of these characters like Finn earlier, Finn, Ben, and Kylo Ren. That's like a Dr. Seuss book or something. But they would be wise choices in line. And we've said before, Supreme Kylo Ren, he's in every single possible scale they have ever had or will ever have, except 3.75. So they just put him out in that like 9-inch Walgreens exclusive line or grocery store line or something. But
yeah, if you can think of a toy line, it has a Kylo Ren, a Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, except for the vintage collection.
It's unfortunate, but
yeah, more bad guys.
Yes. Anyway, another character who hasn't had a figure in about 25 years, similar to some of the others, is 8D8, number 44, played by the great Matt Berry, as I will always say. He was number 34 last year, who did not crack the top 100 in 2021, but was very prominent in Book of Boba Fett last year when the voting was open, and would again be another great addition. He's finished the 96. He's returned to the Jedi 40th Throne Room playset. It just makes sense. It just makes so much sense.
Plus, droids. Droids are always a welcome thing. Newly tooled droids, please hook us up.
We need way more. If Disney Parks can get them out, but we need them on the vintage card. We need them on the finished 96 card.
Yeah.
Torturing the gonk droid.
Of course.
Another sadistic son of a gun. Hey, I'm making relevant puns without even realizing it.
You're killing it this episode.
You know who else is killing it is Crosshair.
Oh,
the next member of the Bad Batch to make the bracket. So he's number 43. He was number 44 last year, number 93 in 2021. So this year we combine his Bad Batch and Imperial looks this time, making sure not to count votes where he was on the same list twice. So I only counted like the first appearance of him. There was a few where he was on there twice, but for most of the case, most of the votes were just Crosshair in general.
Mm-hmm.
People would put the other members of the batch on there and then say Crosshair. They would have one or the other, so just wanted to throw both in there. One would beget the other. I know that he's got a different chest and he should have different arms and things, but we want Crosshair. We got to get Crosshair. And I'll just say he was number 3, very high on my list this year and last. So now that Hunter's coming, hopefully Crosshair would be soon, but who knows. Number 42, another long promised, long canceled figure. We talked about him last week. Is Darth Revan.
Ooh, okay.
The only Legends character on the bracket, one of 2 video game characters. That's a little tease for you here. He was on both. He was 36 last time, 37 before that. Now he's 42. So yeah, as we said, he was supposed to. He was announced to have a 2007 repack in 2019. Everybody said, "You could do better than that." And yeah, he did really well on the bracket last year, as we discussed last week.
And he's been released several times in the Black Series since.
Yep.
Yeah. And you said he was the only Legends character on the bracket.
Yeah.
Cool. And he was that last year as well, too.
Yep.
And he went pretty far.
Yeah. And and some of the other, actual official older fan poll things, I think a lot of fans or like non-collector types or people that just like the video games or the comics or whatever, the expanded universe, but don't necessarily collect. When they have one character to rally around, Jaina Solo did well for the Black Series a few years ago. Dr. Aphra did well for Vintage. it's easier because I've said before, I think this time there was like, I have it somewhere. I think 250 different Legends characters this year submitted, but so many of them had 1 point, or they only appeared on one list, or some guy submits, every character from the Old Republic trailers, and another guy submits a ton of characters from a book from 30 years ago,
Yeah.
So if Legends fans in particular could rally around a character, I think that would help. Darth Revan is such a character.
And you mentioned too that, his lightsaber is getting a reissue this year. And we know that there's the long gestating Old Republic re-release or remaster that's coming out.
Yep.
God knows when, next year.
And it's the 20th anniversary of the original game right now. So.
Okay. Yep. All right. Ouch.
So, yeah. So
physically reacted to that one. That was like getting hit in the chest.
There's going to be more and more 20-year anniversaries of things that were super relevant to my life. And it's like, oh boy, I'm real old.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Moving on.
Let's hope we don't have to wait for the 20th anniversary of this character's media to get him. But it's number 41, Wrecker.
Okay.
He was number 27 last year, number 74 in 2021, right about in the middle now. He is, I will say, the highest ranked Bad Batch member this year. Again, is that because people think they're all coming because Hunter's coming, that like once the ball's rolling, we can't stop. I will jump ahead to the characters that are not on the list. I'll say Omega did not quite make it this time. She got slightly fewer points. She had 606 points last year to 577 this year, which means that last year that was enough to have her at 52 and on the bracket. Now it's only enough to get her to number 84.
Still in the top 100. Not bad.
Still in the top 100. So not terrible. Not terrible. She can hold her own. That Omega, she's resourceful. Another animated character people have been waiting for a long time, even though he does already have a figure. He was almost number 1 last year. It's Pre Vizsla, who's number 40.
Listen, I want to go, yeah, that character's awesome because I love that character, but boo, we already have most of the pieces for that.
Yes. And I think it was Darth Porg Customs. This week, he put out a great Instagram post where he did a custom version of the season 2 version of him, and he had already done a season 4 and 5 version of him.
I saw that. That was awesome.
Yes. So I think, aside from, I think almost everything for the season 2 version already exists. They need some soft goods. But he was the first character to wield the Darksaber. He's the reason the Darksaber exists, because he was going to have a vibro blade, and then George was like, you got to do something better than that. So the reason we have all this lore was just because George didn't like vibro blades.
That's how Star Wars happened.
Yes.
That's how everything in the prequels and the Clone Wars is. It's just
I thought he had everything planned out all the time, always. What are you talking about?
This is the man who came up with Darth Icky. So
Darth Insanius right there with him. Sadly, neither of those guys are on the bracket. Yes. But so there are 2 versions of Pre Vizsla. A lot of people didn't specify. Of those that did, more people preferred the season 4 and 5 kind of nomad, not as clean, but with more paint, and he's got the extra antennas on his helmet and a larger jetpack and stuff. And the first version, the season 2 version, already exists as an animated figure, but either or both would be awesome, especially again this year for Clone Wars 20th. But we shall see. And the fact that they, yes, as you said, have all the Mandalorian parts. We knew about them last year during the bracket. We knew they were coming. We hadn't gotten any of them in hand yet, but now we have his Mandalorian Death Watch Airborne Trooper from season 5, the guys that stood around and watched as he got his head cut off.
Great friends he got there previously.
Yeah. But they also appeared with him in season 4 as well. So we're slowly building the world, and of course, Bo-Katan, the first winner, was his lieutenant. Yeah. Anyway, enough about that guy. We talk about way too much about Pre Vizsla during these things, but We'll see how he does this time. So number 39, I will say it's the highest ranked sequel character this time. He appeared in 2021 as number 21, and somehow he returned last year as number 31, and somehow he returned this year as number 39. It's Papa Palpatine, Sith Eternal.
Ooh, I like it.
Long have we waited for Palpatine to join the vintage collection, but we're still waiting.
I heard a little bit of Whitwer in that one. That was good. That was good.
Oh, thanks.
Oh man, yeah, that would be. I mean, how far away is that figure in terms of tooling? I don't know, because it's a lot of robes.
It's a lot of robes. Keep the same tooling from the existing one. I know people whined about
just
the
do a different
Palpatine
torso and whatever. It's like what they did with Bib. Just clever reuse under all the flowing soft goods. Yeah, man, we need the granddaddy, the literal
Yeah.
granddaddy of them all, the main villain, the final boss of the Skywalker
Yes.
saga. That again, it's like Kylo Ren and the other main characters that are missing. Palpatine may be an even more egregious omission. I mean, there's no figures of any kind for him except for that Funko
Yeah.
Pop. There's barely images online. It's like,
I think there's
we don't like it. We get it. It's fine. But it's weird, man.
There's a Gentle Giant bust or something.
Yeah.
Not to derail the whole thing too much, but I watched The Force Awakens at a screening last night. It was the first time I've seen it since Rise of Skywalker came out. And it was interesting, all the mysteries they set up and the answers are all Palpatine, God bless him. But
it was
I
Palpatine all along. Dun, 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 dun.
It kind of works. I think it's fine. I think it works fine. It was a shock.
Yeah.
Could have gone a lot of different ways, but it makes sense. And it was him in the shadows. I never get the quote right. He was in the shadows from the very beginning, controlling everything, whatever they say. But anyway.
All I know is that everything before and after it was all worth it just to get Ian saying, roll it again at Celebration. That was, yeah.
Whether it's Tales of the Jedi, Bad Batch, Rise of Skywalker, I'll take more Ian McDiarmid, however I can get him. Can we get him in the vintage collection, please?
Dear Hasbro, I'm going to write this in crayon. March Madness.
Another long-awaited villain, which from a recent movie, which we do not have in any form or fashion in 3.75. Number 38, Dryden Voss. He was number 37, 2021, then 36 last year, 38. So he's been around there very consistently.
You could have done a segue from my WandaVision setup and gone in, but...
Oh my God. Yes, I forgot. We got multiverses and we got different timelines and Star Wars. It's a whole thing. Not timelines, but time periods. Oh my God. You're right.
It's okay. It was unintentional.
Seeing him on a vintage card would be quite a vision. How about that?
There it is. You saved it.
Yes.
Before we ruin it. Keep going.
And I'll say, I think I've said before, but I'll say it again. Damn it. They can reuse his pants. I think he has got very similar pants to Lando, like the Solo Lando, even though there's more like pinstripes on them or something, or like sculpted material that I know they're not going to do, but
piping, I think is what they call it.
But they're very close to, they have the arm, use Lando's arms, use the new Luke's arms. They have a lot of parts for Dryden Voss. It would make me happy to see. I know it would make Lewis happy.
Yeah. I'm bummed. Like, I love that we got Tropical Lando. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I understand that Gaming Greats was the way to do it. I am bummed that he's on a Battlefront card and not a solo card.
Sure.
I would have loved to have seen that, but whatever. I'd
sneak him in somehow.
Yeah. I'll take him
out.
However.
Yeah, if they ever follow up on any of the Crimson Dawn stuff, either before or after Solo, obviously not after Solo, because Dryden Voss is dead. But before
somehow Dryden returned.
They could have a cartoon. I know, he was in the Clone Wars, like I mentioned. Anyway, that's all on my top 25 episode. But who else was on my top 25 episode? Number 37, Frog Lady. I love Frog Lady.
Frog Lady.
Quite a big frog jump from number 51 last year, number 75 in 2021. As I mentioned, she could go great with Q90 earlier on the bracket, and she would go great with all that Maldo Kree stuff, the spiders, the snowy Mando and Grogu we have.
The Razor Crest.
The Razor Crest itself, yes.
I just rewatched that episode the other day because I rewatched a bunch of stuff, so I actually just finished Book of Boba Fett today. Nice. I cheated and only watched episodes 5, 6, and 7.
The Mando one.
Just because I was watching the Mando stuff. God, that Maldo Kreese episode, I remember not like being in love with it when it first dropped, but the more I watch that episode, the more I'm just like, damn, dude, this is so good. Like,
yeah, it's
a great little small self-contained episode. Frog Lady, charming as all hell. Just screams Star Wars to me.
So even her name, like right next to Walrus Man and Hammerhead, we need Frog Lady. Come on.
Yes. Do it, Hasbro. You cowards. You cowards.
So someone who's not a coward, someone who's actually quite brave, as a matter of fact, in her own right. A new addition to this list in a new appearance from Andor. Number 36 is Mon Mothma from Andor.
Cool. All right. So Return of the Jedi Mon Mothma. Yeah, she just missed the list.
She barely missed out. And I wanted to separate them to show that there is quite a lot of demand for both versions.
That's yeah.
Yeah, the Return of the Jedi one has not been made since 98. That's the only figure of her at all currently.
Really?
And then, yeah. And then, there's the Revenge of the Sith one from 2005. Yeah, I forgot. So at least we do have a Genevieve O'Reilly version of Mon Mothma. Yeah, but there's never been an update to the Return of the Jedi one. And there is a 6-inch version of the Andor Mon Mothma coming. But sadly, she is not one of the paltry few figures that we have in Vintage Collection for Andor, which would be awesome.
Who was it that said it? Was it Toys Are the Way? I don't know. Someone said this week in one of our chats or in a post, my memory is horrible. Send help. Collections are built on hope. So
Yes. I think it was him. It was on a YouTube video.
Perfect. I watch your YouTube channel, Toys Are the Way.
I have it queued up. I'm sorry. I've been a little busy today. I haven't watched it yet. All right. So another character who has appeared before, even appeared in Rogue One, same as Mon Mothma, but now also appeared on Andor, is number 35. A new addition to the list was 176 last year. It's 2 tubes.
That's a big jump. 176 to...
It's 35 to being on the bracket. So, yes. So, some people voted for the Rogue One version. Some people voted for the Andor version. A little 2 tubes backstory right here. So in Rogue One, there's 2 of them. There's Edrio, who has the sort of skirt situation and was made as a 5 POA figure in the 4-pack with Saw Gerrera and Jyn and one of the tank drivers. The other one is Benthic, who has more of the actual lines and business in Rogue One. And he has like the duster, the more trench coat sort of thing. Edrio appeared with Saw in Rebels. Benthic appeared with Infist Nest in Solo, and is the one that appeared in Andor with Saw. And there's the costume for Benthic is the same in all of his appearances. He just wears a necklace in Solo and rolled his sleeves up in Solo and Andor. He has a necklace in Andor also. So one version could work for both. Just have a removable necklace. There you go. And I haven't analyzed them so close, but I'm sure, one could beget the other. But similar to some other famous twin-like characters, decided to combine the two. Not that it was a huge difference, but yeah.
You can't separate the hatchmates.
Yes, the eggmates.
Eggmates, that's right. Fake fan. March Madness just totally makes me look like an asshole every year. There's always something I screw up.
You had known nothing about this. But yes, again, it wasn't that, a bunch of people had both of them on their list. I would count the top one only, so I would separate if they were both on a list. So I just had the top version on a list, and that was enough still to get 2 tubes in general to number 35. I'm going with Benthic is the main 2 tubes because he appears in more stuff and has more action on screen. Anyway, yet again, the 3rd new character in a row. We're on quite a run here, and it's not done. It's not done yet, but we're not done yet, to quote somebody earlier. Anyway, a new character did not even crack the top 100 last year. Previously appeared on Rebels. More recently appeared on the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. It's the 5th brother Inquisitor at number 34.
Nice.
Who's also in the Black series. And we do have a 5 POA version of his Rebels appearance in the animated line. And, of course, the retro version that apparently not a lot of people bought. I bought it, but
yeah,
I would prefer that lovely card to have a super articulated Vintage Collection figure with it.
I am just going to tip the hand. Trigger warning. I did buy the Black Series Obi-Wan Kenobi figures because I enjoyed the show and I won figures from it. And it became very obvious that Hasbro was not going to do that for the Vintage Collection. I would love it if they did. I totally support that. I want 5th brother in TVC because the Black Series version is a very awesome figure. Scale that down to the proper scale, and then we're talking. So,
yeah, there was a good amount of love for Inquisitors in general. There were some that did not make the list. Perhaps we're not done yet on that front. We'll see.
There were a couple lists where someone just wrote one slot. One of their votes was for, quote, all the Inquisitors. It's like, great. Yes. Also, what do we do with that?
There's so many of them from all across different shows and comics and things.
Yeah.
One character who is surprisingly new to the bracket this year, not new to Star Wars by any stretch of the imagination, was 112 last year. It's number 33 this year. It's C-3PO. Can you believe it?
What?
Goldenrod's on the bracket this year.
All right. Could that have anything to do with Hasbro kind of kicking the dust off Vac Metal?
Could. I think it might have to do with when did we get the droids one? Was that 2021 though? Did we actually get that in the calendar year 2021?
Yeah, we did, because that was the one that shipped before R2 and Boba Fett ended up shipping out in 2022.
So yeah, we have that one, which it's fine. It's really small.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's kind of over the parts and pieces that connect a little worse with each passing release of that mold.
Yeah, the back piece just flies off for no reason.
Just you look at it and it hits your dog across the room.
Yeah.
Like, that's not good for anybody. But I think there might be a couple of other related characters that people were putting on their lists, and they were like, just put C-3PO to go with them. And we still don't have a version on the Star Wars card at all in any pre-vintage collection line, any of that. So definitely need him.
Yeah.
There are a few, of course, that also want the Empire Strikes Back removable limbs version. I did condense a few versions of C-3PO. C-3PO would have been on the bracket even if it was just his A New Hope version. But there are plenty of people that also want his Bespin Escape removable limbs version as well, which is another distinct Finish the 96 release, of course.
I saw a couple votes in just the small amount of lists that I did for the Phantom Menace version too.
Yes. I didn't condense that one. I don't think I condensed the Attack of the Clones one, obviously. But the Phantom Menace one now with all those paint apps would probably be $6,000. But the episode 1, the 99 version that we have is not bad for what it is.
It moves about as well as the puppet in the movie does. So yes, it's fine.
But C-3PO is one of those characters that would beget many, many other droids. Obviously, of course, Disney Parks knows this. Their version is good. Could be better. Could be a little bit more articulated with ball, arms and knees and all that stuff. But or joints and rocker ankles on C-3PO, I guess we need them. I don't know.
I don't need the crazy articulation. I'm okay with the limited articulation on C-3PO. He's not an action hero, but I do agree and think I think he belongs on this list because we do need a new, definitive, properly sized protocol droid.
For sure. And a lot of people did specify they wanted vac metal, but of course that's a whole nother topic of conversation we've got into. I think I'd like a carbonized version, frankly. That's the only figure I really want to see carbonized, him and maybe Phasma.
That's like maybe one of the chromed characters are maybe the only time it's okay to ask for carbonized.
They're the ones they're not putting out, for God's sake.
Yeah. I don't know. Moff Gideon and Cara Dune carbonized. Sounds like a great idea.
Sure. They're shiny. Why not? I would take this next character carbonized just for the hell of it. Another new character, 120 last year, has since appeared more prominently after her first appearances on Book of Boba Fett. First appearances on Mandalorian has appeared much more prominently on the Book of Boba Fett. She was number 8 on my personal list. It's Peli Motto.
Yeah.
Of course, we now officially know that the N1 is coming, as it was pipelined recently. But I believe that was after lists were done being submitted. But
correct.
There were rumors and all these things. But we got to have Amy Sedaris.
Should be a
on the
great
list.
pack-in.
Should be awesome. And of course, we now have a BD one, so we could have BD-72 with her. We could have pit droids with her. We need R5-D4 for the N1 now that we know that he pilots it in season 3.
Because we've totally seen an episode of season 3 at this point.
Clearly,
airing today on Disney Plus. Money, please.
Number 31 is actually another new character to the bracket. I thought this was interesting, and I went back and forth. I did not ask you guys' opinion on this. Tyler will be, as he says, big mad that this guy's on there. This character just barely missed out last year, was number 70. And we now have most, if not all, of the tooling. It's 31. It's Jango Fett.
There it is. Yep.
Not super surprised. Last year we didn't, kind of miss the Attack of the Clones 20th anniversary window. A lot of people are saying now that we got Boba's ship for the 8,000th time, maybe we could have had the Jango colors instead.
That would have been
maybe
nice.
Some of these other Mandalorians, we could have Jango too. We can get pre-Vizsla on Jango pretty easily. So I think this is a vote of confidence to show Hasbro, yes, we want these. We love the new Mandalorian figures. They're incredible. Jango would be such a great addition to this lineup.
I skipped the $200 repack reskin of the slave of Boba Fett's starship. Sorry, and I skipped it. I do really want the figure. I will probably end up getting it at some point. I'm just not in any rush for it.
Mm-hmm.
But if they were to tomorrow be like, oh, and here's a repainted version of that ship, it's also $200 and it's repainted in Django's colors. It's a CW or Clone Wars 20 release and Django's packed in. Give me 2, please. That's
yes.
Just hook my bank account straight up to Hasbro. I want that. So
I was trying to get some kind of, you said tomorrow, I was going to go Temuera Morrison. You buy Temuera tomorrow? I don't know. Anyway, I'm tired. It's been a long list. We're only halfway there, folks.
Ooh, buckle up, guys. It's going to be a long episode.
But I thought it was interesting that, even as much as people say, oh, we already have all the parts, and we try to focus on newly tooled. We didn't want to say you can only vote for 100% new tooling because that gets messy real quick. But
I mean,
Django's a gimme. Django's a layup at this point, guys. Come on.
And technically, we have all the tons of Bobas, which means we have so many different versions of kind of Django. So
yes, all the new clones. There's so many great Temuera, middle-aged Kiwi man. Temuera Morrison heads lately. We have got all of them except the OG, except Django. And of course, yes, Django was in the vintage collection based on an older sculpt it was already kind of outdated in 2011. I like that figure, but by today's standards, it's nowhere near as good as all these new Mandalorians we're getting.
And they could update it with, of course, an Attack of the Clones card with the fun little anniversary call out. Yeah. Maybe have them be the Geonosis version.
Yeah. And because we've got both the Camino jetpack has come with some of these Boba Fett figures, and we've got the Geonosis jetpack on these Clone Wars figures. So we got options. Put them in a deluxe set and charge $40.
Don't want to give them ideas, but yeah, okay.
All right, next up, number 30 was number 25. The last 2 years, so she slipped a little bit. It's the second sister Inquisitor, Trilla Suduri. Carlo will be very pleased about that.
Yes, he will.
Yes, as we get a little further from Jedi Fallen Order, we recently finally got a Cal Kestis in the line. I will say, because he was on the bracket the last 2 years, just as we're on the Jedi Fallen Order topic, he was really high the last 2 years. I forget where exactly he was. He was 8 last year. He's now number 95 because we at least got the Cal Kestis scratched, one of the, whatever you do to the other one.
Yeah.
We have a Cal in the line, but a lot of people still want his original look.
Including me, I still want that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Same here. But we at least have a Cal, but we do not have a second sister. We saw some great customs this past week on the Inquisitor Faction Friday. You scroll back on SWTVC on Instagram. You'll see some cool customs of her using the Reva body. I'm sure they could use some parts. I know there's some of the finer details are different.
But I do wonder, though, because you said she slipped a little bit, and I wonder if that has to do with the fact that we have since been introduced to more Inquisitors and, seen more Inquisitors be prevalent. I mean, there's an Inquisitor book coming out about one that we haven't met. We saw one in Tales of the Jedi.
Yes. I will say it's not, she actually got 300 more points than she did last year. Well, again, it's just the fact that some of these have so many more points. But yeah, I don't know. Number 29, to me, he's number 1. It's Sweet Simalu, Imperial Dignitary, the last truly unmade, unupdated Kinner, finished the 96 figure. Not counting cards and mustaches and all that. He was number 20 last year, number 43 2 years ago, so he's kind of right in the middle of those now. Return of the Jedi 40, get him on those regular Lando legs. I don't care. Put some soft goods on him. Just get him out already. Come on.
Simp for Simalu.
I'm a simp. I'm a simpaloo. Number 28, someone who was very high on your list. You did a great impression of it, but I got to do it myself. Bodhi Rook.
Yep.
Cargo pilot. It was number 38 last year and 35 in 2021, so he is higher than both of those. As maybe, we're back in the Rogue One vibes with Andor and that sort of thing, but still waiting for the rest of the crew to get completed.
Complete the crew, teams and themes.
Complete them.
Timely releases.
Another character from another crew around that same time period. These transitions are wild, but...
Love it.
Number 27, it's Zeb, Garazeb Aurelios. Last year he was 32. Previously he was 22, so he's right in the middle. It's interesting, just pointing that out to see how things shake out. Things are kind of averaging out.
So we got Chopper, and we've got now Zeb on the list, and we've got How many characters left?
Stay
We'll find
tuned,
out.
folks.
Yeah. Tune in 1 minute from now when we get to that.
Number 26, a different large animated guy who would probably make another deluxe figure just like Zeb. Would be Pong Krell, Tim's other favorite character.
Yep.
Again, exactly right in the middle of where he was the past few years. He was 28 last year, 24 2 years ago. Been number 4 on my list for quite a while and did really well in the bracket both times, I believe.
Yeah.
He's just awesome. He's Dexter Jetster with 2 double-bladed lightsabers.
I mean, even if you don't like the character, think about how cool the engineering for that action figure would be.
Mm-hmm.
That would be such a cool action figure.
Yeah. Or if you like Mortal Kombat, he's kind of like Goro.
Yeah.
And we are getting the Waxer from the Darkness on Umbara arc coming soon in that 4-pack of clones with perfectly accurate armor and whatnot, as we all know. But so they are starting to make figures from that arc. I would love all the other clones, as I said, but Pong Krell would obviously be the icing on the clone cake.
Yeah.
Another Clone Wars character. You know where you love her. Number 25, Asajj Ventress. She's higher than she has been. She keeps climbing, as she does in her ascension to almost, but not quite being a Sith. She was number 29 last year, number 34 2 years ago. I had the Bounty Hunter version on my list. You had the Dark Disciple version on yours.
Which are basically the same.
Those are the same, as each other. More or less. Minus
the difference is hair.
A mohawk or two, yeah. I did not condense her alternate looks in this. That would have bumped her up in the rankings. Either way, she would have been on the bracket. You know, I'm a dirty damn hypocrite with this, so deal with it. But again, Clone Wars 20th.
Villain,
female. She was in the micro series. She was one of the concept. She's from the concept art for the Sith Lord and Attack of the Clones. She's been with the Clone Wars since the very beginning. And we still don't have her in vintage collection.
Isn't that concept of her what Komari Vosa was based off of in Bounty Hunter?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
And then they said that, Ventress had Komari's lightsabers or whatever.
That's right.
Not sure if that's still canon or not, but...
I know some deep cuts, guys.
You do. You know your stuff. Someone else who knows their stuff. Another female villain. A new character on the bracket. Number 24, Dedra Meero. From Andor.
Wow. Oh, that's high, dude.
That's very high. That was really cool to see. She's an awesome character. Loved her in the show. Like I said before, I love that you're like kind of rooting for her for a while.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh yeah, she's rising up the ranks. And you're like, oh, you realize what ranks she's rising up as she tortures one of your other favorite characters. And it's just generally a horrible, terrible, fascist piece of crap.
She's shattering the glass floor straight to hell.
Yes, but as many people have pointed out, we just got the new male Imperial officer with Piet, and we will undoubtedly be seeing tons of him in the future. So why not let the ladies get in on some of that fun? We can get Tala from the Obi-Wan show, who some people had her on the lists.
Isan Isard, however you say that name.
Yes, a lot of Legends characters. Ray Sloan, the comms officer from Mandalorian, who appeared in Quantumania as a different character. I don't know if that's an endorsement or not to keep the Peyton Reed love going, but that's another sculpt they can get a lot of mileage out of. And Dedra Meero is just an awesome character, and it would be awesome to see her in the line. We have one blonde lady from Andor. Let's get 2. Come on. Number 23, an original trilogy character this time, so you can breathe easy, boomers. Was number 61 last year, so just barely made it on the bracket last year. Number 99 2 years ago. It's the Snowtrooper, or the Imperial Stormtrooper in Hoth battle gear.
Yes.
And of course, we got the 2007 vintage 30th anniversary, aka Saga Collection version on a vintage card years before TVC. Then it appeared in 3-packs and all these things, and it appeared in lots of multi-packs. It's got a wide stance, I know, but other than that, I don't hate it. But, an updated one. I don't want them to, at this point, it'd be preferable to get an all-new one, or at least a heavily modified new one.
Don't pull a biker scout on it,
Yeah. Yep.
I think it was probably also helped. I if I were to speculate that I love the Snowtrooper design. It's my favorite Imperial Trooper design. Imperial Stormtrooper Hoth or Snow
Yes.
Battle Gear, Hoth Battle Gear, whatever.
Yeah.
I know there's no such thing as Snow Trooper. Got it. I think though that since we've
There's no
now
such thing as any of
seen-
this, but
yeah,
yes.
for sure. There's no such thing as a Star Wars.
Anyway, yeah.
The fact that we've hit the top of the mountain of troopers, we've seen what the definitive trooper can look like with, those Mandalorians, and the Stormtrooper, the
Mhm.
newest version of that. Like, I totally get the hunger for seeing other iconic troopers that, we've all grown up with and loved and feared and, wanted armor of and wanted figures of. I think it's one of those, like, the time is overdue for that, but the time is right now that we're at that point of engineering that we can get these things
Mhm.
pretty much perfect. So yeah, I would
Yeah.
be super excited for a 2023 quality, all new from the ground up TVC figure of a Snow Trooper. That would be incredible.
ESB 50, let's make it happen.
Woo! That's only, I don't want to think about how not
Yeah.
really far away that is. So
Number 22, another Imperial. Tyler knows him. Didn't put him on the list this year though. Could have helped him out a little bit because last year he was 7. Previously he was number 4. It's Grand Admiral Thrawn. He has fallen from grace quite a bit. Tyler, I blame you personally.
how many points separate him from the next one above him?
Very few actually. It was like one of the cases where
If Tyler had given him 25 points, he would have climbed up a little bit.
Tyler had given him literally 1 point. He would have jumped over this next character.
Oh, cool. Well, there you go, Tyler. You totally disappointed the Grand Admiral. So I hope you're pleased.
Yes. Partly because we have the new Imperial officer, so it would be easy to get Thrawn out in line now that we have Piet. Maybe because people are waiting to see him in live action after he was name checked in Mandalorian a couple years ago, and is probably going to be in the Ahsoka show if they follow up on that this year.
Yeah,
they follow up on that storyline that she teased in Mandalorian.
I would love it if they pulled a DC and just didn't
ever talk about it.
Just never did anything with just all narrative dead ends.
It's just Joe Manganiello as Grand Admiral Thrawn. Why not?
He shows up in a stinger and never ever again. Oh man.
Or Henry Cavill could play him too. I guess he's not busy anymore.
They'll hire him and then they'll fire him the next day. Oh my God. I think so. I know we go into the top 25 submissions and looking at the likes of like Jango Fett and Pre Vizsla. We go into the 25 submissions, asking for prioritizing all new tooling. But again, we've talked about this before where some of us are real deep in the weeds with that. Not everybody totally is paying attention to the tooling or thinking about it that much, because at the end of the day, we just want the characters that we love or that resonate with us. So
yeah, even
though we do have a lot of tooling, like this wouldn't require an all new thing, it is still super worth making noise about it. So it's like, Hasbro, we do want this stuff, like the things that are easily achievable and the things that are pie in the sky. I think it's awesome that, these things are represented.
For sure. And, in other lines where I dabble, where I'm not as a serious completist as I am for TVC, even, in Star Wars figures previously before the podcast and before the page, I didn't care about tooling that much. I wasn't comparing, legs from the other thousands of figures that I owned. We just do that all the time now. I don't know why. It doesn't bring me that much joy. It just is more noise that I have to deal with. That's okay. That's fine.
Yep.
But it's just another thing to get mad about. But
because that's in short supply.
Yes. Yeah, I don't have enough of those already. But so anyway, yes, people do want Thrawn, but for some reason he slipped a little bit. Let me see. Last year he got number of points. Last year was 1,716. This year was 1,910. So there was still more points than last year. But I love these pairings that are just kind of happening. It's the will of the Force, dyads in the Force, if you will. Right next to Grand Admiral Thrawn. Who should it be? Tyler's other favorite character, Ezra Bridger.
Okay.
He's slipping a little bit. 2 points, 2 rankings each time. He was 19 last year, 17 2 years ago. We also assume that he maybe is coming in the Ahsoka show. Are people waiting for a live action version of him before we see a realistic live action interpretation figure in Vintage Collection? I do not know. I cannot say. Another Rebels character to join the others.
Regardless of getting the live action one, and I think, yes, at this point, wait until we see what live action would look like if that's what's happening. to then reverse engineer and, what would mix the animation
Yeah.
look and the actor to make the younger version. Because I have to assume that he'll be a little older by the time he would make any debut in live action. So
if Ahsoka's still
want
looking
the
for
Rebels
him,
version.
if she's still looking for Thrawn at least 5 years after Return of the Jedi, that means they've been gone for 10 years almost. Because so that'd be about 9 years after A New Hope. We don't know when they disappear.
Are there 6 years? Are they 6 years after Return of the Jedi? And then the OT is like 4.5 years. And
no, the original trilogy. Oh boy, that's a whole other topic. So I don't know exactly where the Rebels finale takes place in relation to A New Hope, but Return of the Jedi is 4 years after A New Hope. Mandalorian starts 5 years after Return of the Jedi. So I don't know when season 2 takes place in relation to season 1. I'm sure it's coming in a comic book at some point. We'll find out all about that. But
yeah.
Anyway, he could look up to a decade older. But speaking of his various appearances, this is another character, as we have done years past, where we condense the various appearances of him from Rebels into one thing, into one entry on the bracket. Most people for Ezra, more people preferred his, I think in general, they preferred the season 3 or 4 looks, mostly season. I mean,
something that's never
season
been made ever.
Yes. So his season 1 and 2, everybody basically looked the same. In season 3 and 4, between season 2 and 3, they got an upgrade, and then they would basically look the same for those seasons. Ezra got a scar at the end of season 1 that he, wore in season 2, that sort of thing. But by and large, yes, people seem to be more interested in the season 3 versions, but 5 POA and 6-inch got the season 1/2 version already.
Someday we'll catch up, right?
Yes. Another character along the same lines that I was kind of dancing around because she changes her appearance more frequently than the other Ghost Crew members.
Who could it be?
Sabine Wren. Who could it? Sabine Wren, number 20. She was number 12 last year, number 19 in 2021, so still hovering around the same area.
Never underestimate a Mandalorian, as we've been saying.
Yeah, seriously. I don't think any of her tooling could be specifically used from Bo-Katan, because there's a number of differences, and she not only repainted her armor, but she would add pieces and parts and weapons as the show went on.
I would be glad if it was an all new version, because again, the different armor, because we do have several different male builds for Mandalorians of different kind of armor styles. I would love to see some variety, so it's not just every female Mandalorians are repainted or reworked Bo-Katan.
And they're all a foot shorter than all the guys.
Yeah.
And so we do know for a fact that Sabine is in the Ahsoka show. The other guys are all kind of rumors and leaks and all that sort of thing. But we know who's playing Ahsoka. We know obviously we know who's playing Ahsoka. We know who's playing Sabine in Ahsoka, and they showed that teaser image of her looking at the mural. Yeah. Which was sort of a recreation of the Rebels Season 4 epilogue. So I think once they get one version of Sabine in the line, then they can, go from there and do all her Rebels appearances and whatnot from there, which would be awesome to see. And I'd buy them all, for God's sake.
Same.
I shudder to think what the cost would be with the various paint applications, but whatever.
Just don't tell Target we'll buy them all, because it'd be like, oh, cool. That'll be $23.99.
And I'll buy all of them for that price.
Yeah.
Number 19 was number 22 last year, but he was also the winner of the bracket last year, Chrysanthemum.
Cool. What was he ranked? Sorry, you said he was ranked.
This year he's 19. Last year he was 22.
Okay,
that was sort of just as his live action appearance was happening. As we mentioned last time, he has been officially pipeline announced for Retro Collection and the Black Series, and of course, Black Series got his hilarious Black Chewbacca repaint. Oh, Lord.
I'll always laugh about that. If you can rely on one thing in this show, it's that I will always laugh at that figure.
So, after those two, we can only hope and assume that he's coming to Vintage Collection. If you check rumor sites that are publicly out there, perhaps with the face of a yak. I don't know. I know we don't talk rumors on the show, but you can. I'm giving you breadcrumbs, but you got to follow them yourself, Hansel and Gretel. Come on. Anyway, number 18, the Client. He was number 15 last year, and number 67 in 2021. There was a huge jump after the Navarro Cantina playset and his appearance in the Black Series line and the clearance for the Black Series line as well. But make him in the right numbers. We'll buy them all up and put him in the... we got to have a live version and a dead version for the Navarro Cantina.
Just don't pack him 3 per case.
Yes.
Don't even pack him 2 per case. Put him out in a wave that you only make 1 run of, and he'll do fine.
Yes. And they can reuse parts from Grief Karga or something. I don't know, something like that. But
it's Werner Herzog, guys. Come on. One
of the first characters in The Mandalorian, for God's sake. He's the one that sent Mando on the path to go get Grogu. He's, one of the characters that started the whole thing.
That was the first scene they showed at Celebration 2019, right?
Yeah. And I was like, holy crap, Werner Herzog is in Star Wars now. I'm all the way in.
Yep.
I don't need to see anything else.
Yeah, I don't know what this is, but that's awesome.
Yeah, so he's still super high. And number 17, another badass old dude who has been on the top of some fans' lists for quite a while. He was number 16 last year, dropped only 1 point. Number 57 2 years ago. Vote for this guy. Vote for Falcon Tazeri, folks.
There he is.
So many hashtags. I'm getting tired. But
just wait till the end of the show.
He is, of course, the last Skiff Guard figure that we need for the prisoner Skiff, not the last Skiff Guard overall. Of course, we all love Maroon Pants Human, number 3. This is my plea to Lucasfilm by next March Madness. I don't care if we see any of the Skiff Guards in the line by next year. I want to see them all have names. Give them trading cards or something. I can't look at unidentified shirtless male or man with red pants for another year. I can't do it.
Yeah, man. Just from the little that I did, I was upset. It was upsetting having to sort through that just in the small bit that I did. I cannot imagine what it felt like for you.
There's a lot. I was like, wait a second. And I'm being able to tell them apart, but it's still just like, these are the names we've chosen to give these guys unidentified. There's so many unidentified human guards. Maybe that means they're not the most exciting characters. There hasn't been a huge clamor for them to appear in their own comic books or anything, but
just, fat shit, a Star Wars story.
The same, it's half of them are played by the same stunt man. And they're all the stunt guys are doing great work. God bless the stunt guys, but it's all the same. They could sculpt one Larry Holtz. What's his name?
Why? Don't ask me. Jesus.
One of the Larrys, Larry H. One of these guys submitted a list. The other one is Velkin. So love you all. I love all Larrys. They're all great. Anyway, I'm very tired. So another thing about the list submissions, back to Chrysanthemum real quick. We got to have a spelling bee next year too, because there were so many creative spellings of Chrysantan and Kristen. There was a few Kristens on the list.
Yeah, there was one that was like Karazanin.
Yeah.
And I was like, Kanan? Oh, Chrysantan. There we go.
Krrsantan. Come on, guys. It's not that hard.
Or just type BK or Santo.
Yeah. The giant evil Wookiee guy.
Yeah.
But can you at least spell Wookiee? It's hard enough to get people to spell Wookiee right with the 2 E's, but
I do mess it up sometimes, but I will never mess it up. I tried to, in the list that I gave you, I tried to have uniform spelling for some things. I did just kind of go with the first time I saw a name on a couple things.
Sure.
Even though I knew that wasn't right, but I couldn't be bothered.
There was a couple Legends characters that I was like, I wrote some of them down. There's like Darth Tenebris, Darth Tenebrae. Those are different guys.
Darth Nihil, Darth Nihilus.
Yep. There's Vitiate and Vindican. And there's Valkorian and Valkorion, as far as I can tell. And 3 of those names that I mentioned are the same guy. Why do they do this to me? Why are you doing this to me, Lucasfilm? You're killing me here.
Lucasfilm and the fan community hate John.
And he's just a guy who was in Old Republic trailers or something. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sure he has a great and lovely story that I will never know.
March Madness is your origin, or is your villain origin story, John. This is the killing joke.
Oh my God, yeah. So, from a villain to a hero, Hera is number 16.
Nope, walk that back. Try that again. That was horrible.
Not Harrison Ford, but Harrison Dula.
Okay.
That has to be where the name came from. How about that?
Yep,
she was number 10. She was number 10 last year, number 12 2 years ago. So a little bit further down is 16, but we love Hera, of course.
We do. We do.
Number 15, another Rebel. I guess I was going to say from Rebels. Yes, also from Rebels, but not from Rebels originally. But Saw Gerrera.
Yep.
He was way up there. He was 50 last year, 52 2 years ago. Now he's 15 after appearing in both Black Series and the Andor series. And this time we did condense the Andor votes with the Rogue One votes with the generic unnamed votes that were, grouped around other Rogue One and Andor characters. So he would have appeared on the bracket either way, but because it's all Forrest Whitaker, he shaves his head, he grows it back, he grows it out, he does all kinds of things. They could do a bald version and a hair version. They could do a version with and without his original leg. They got options, folks. They can resell it all to us. Again, a deluxe figure, 40 different heads, various tubes that come in and out. Why not?
That's another one where it's, just the whole Rogue One situation. There's just a couple more. We're so close.
We're so close.
So.
Are we done with the Rogue One characters on this list, do you think?
Well, I can think of at least a couple that are probably going to show up.
Perhaps. We'll see. Next one, not from Rogue One. Rogue One adjacent, as Hasbro might say, from A New Hope, from the Cantina. He was number 11 last year, number 20 2 years ago, number 14 now. It's Moma Nadon, Hammerhead.
Yeah. Yep.
We got Makshaiz last year, aka Mayor McCheese. Some people voted for him. I did not combine the Hammerhead votes. Everybody was specific enough to ask for this guy in particular. Yet another Finish the 96 character. Yet another character we got in the same wave as that Garindan, I believe, in 2006, the Saga Collection. Both of those figures were nice, but not up to today's standards and not on vintage cards.
If they did, if they released that figure, they did an all new one. They released it. I would be over the moon because I love that. I love that alien design. Love it.
Yep.
I would totally buy an exclusive that was a repaint of the Kenner colors on him. I would go ape for that. Like, yes.
There is a guy with that jumpsuit in Sid's parlor on the Bad Batch, and in the background of some Clone Wars episodes as well, the same animation model. So it's a little bit of a different thing, but they could easily just, repaint him.
Yeah.
As Funko and so many have done.
We see because we also see the Walrus Man, and I think we see the Greedo version of the Rodian in the Kenner colorways outfits and like the original Kenner looking outfits in the Clone Wars, like you just said. And whatnot. So,
and of course, Black Series did some Kenner color figures. We're about to get a Kenner color Boba Fett on the way, of course, in vintage collections. So once they get the regular A New Hope, correct, canon, accurate color schemes out as fully articulated, detailed 3 3/4, 3.75 inch vintage collection figures, just have to say all that. Then they can do the wacky Kenner color repaints to their heart's content.
Can I just make an earth-shattering revelation / confession on this episode? Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to hear it here first. I pre-ordered the Kenner Boba Fett from Target.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Weren't you putting your foot down on that one or not?
I didn't get the other two.
Okay.
Yep.
I got all of them. I got 2 of each because I'm a sucker.
I got one. I ordered one. And yeah. Anyway, that's my confession, guys. I feel bad about it. Yep. My name is Evan. I'm addicted to Star Wars toys. So.
Well, you can pre-order Hammerhead if they ever make them in Kenner colors or otherwise.
Yeah.
Number 13. I think it's the highest character. Not. I spoke too soon. Let me roll it back. Lucky 13 was number 9 last year and in 2021. Kanan Jarrus, Jedi Knight.
Yes.
And again, combine the various appearances. Most people do prefer his season 3/4 appearance with the super cool mask with his the blind master sort of situation. But we'd be happy with any of them. Again, 5 POA and 6 inch got the whole crew, but Vintage is waiting to even start the Rebels crew, let alone complete them.
Yeah. If you recall from my top 25 mini episode, I mentioned many of the characters on my list. You could get their lightsabers officially licensed. You could get really cool lightsaber replicas or toys of them, but they didn't have action figures in the vintage collection. Kanan's lightsaber is getting added. It won, I think, a fan vote, and it's getting added to the Disney Parks Legacy lightsaber line. Of course, they're releasing it under the name Caleb Doom from the Bad Batch. So it's how they stay on top of the new media, is the technicalities.
Does it split in half, do you know, so we can put it on different parts of his belt?
They haven't revealed it yet. They only had like the illustration, so people are kind of wondering. I have a feeling it's going to be the May the 4th drop this year.
Interesting.
So, because it's been a little while since we got a new saber drop, so I'm excited for that. I love Kanan's lightsaber.
Yeah, I love Kanan's lightsaber. I love Kanan.
I also want Kanan in the vintage collection.
And so do these voters. And I will say, even though I say he drops, but last year he had 1,690 points, and this year he had, where are we here? 2,305.
Oof.
So,
Oof.
yes, so still quite a bump up. But another characters.
What time is it?
I have no idea. Oh, wait. Ask me that again.
Leaving this in the episode. And there's what time is it, John?
It's time to remember all the hashtags, but it's also time for Tonica.
Yes.
Tonica's sisters are number 12 this time. They were number 18 last year, number 47 in 2021. So thanks to things like Victoria's Time for Tonica campaign from Victoria's Cantina and the Vintage Collection podcast, perhaps raising the profile of these characters, much as Miko's Vote for Velkin petition a couple years ago.
It's always time for Tonica, it seems.
Always time for Tonica. So similar to trying to look at Hammerhead a couple down, some of these long wanted Cantina character updates. You can listen to her show and episodes. We know all the legal issues, all the legal drama, but
we had her on our show to talk about that once.
Listen to just about any show and you'll learn the tale. So Hasbro, I hope you're listening to any of this and doing the legal maneuvering you have to do, maybe for the 50th of A New Hope. I don't know. When will it be time for Tonica? It's time for Tonica all the time. Even when I forget that it's time for Tonica. It's okay. It's always time for Tonica. I forget it because it's just ever present. It's always time for Tonica.
Yeah.
It's like breathing. Like you don't think about breathing. You just breathe, you know?
You just exist knowing that it's time for Tonica.
Yes.
When I said it though, I'm going to leave that in because when I said it, I was like, oh shoot. Is that not who's next? Because
I was
again, I don't know this list.
I thought you were saying like speed it up because you're taking forever with these things. And I was like, wait a minute. It's not that late right now. It's later. It's an hour later. No, it's a whole thing.
I think I speak for the audience who I'm very confident are on their third session of trying to trudge through this episode. We're here for it, man.
They looked at the bracket real quick and they scrolled on and watched Mando and Bad Batch and went on with their lives. But number 11, another background OT character, not from the Cantina, but from the Cantina's spiritual successor. It's Tessic Squidhead. Quite a big bump. Last year he was 21. Before that he was 53. Of course, there have been a lot of Quarrens in The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett as well. And were there any in Book of Boba Fett? I don't know. I'm sure at some point. There are a lot in Mando, though. And so this would be another great character to get in for the Return of the Jedi 40th for Boba's throne room. There is a Squidhead that appears in the Mandalorian Season 2 stinger for the Book of Boba Fett. I think people think it's Tessic. I don't know if that's ever been confirmed. Maybe it has, maybe it has not. But it looked great anywhere. Last one was over 20 years ago in Power of the Jedi in 2001-ish.
Wow. We've gotten Quarren since then, though. We got Darth Malaval from the Legacy comics.
And then the Clone Wars Micro Series 1.
That's right.
Is that it, though?
Wow. So, squeal for Squidhead. New hashtag.
Squeal for Squidhead. Time for Tessic. It's not already time. We already have a time-related thing. I'd make a joke about those giant balls hanging off the back of his head that I always forget about until I see the figure, but I won't because that's just low-hanging fruit. I'm not going to grab that anyway.
Low-hanging fruit. Grabbing.
Hashtag turn your head and cough for Tessic. How about that? Okay, that's terrible. All right. We're into the top 10, folks.
All right. Drum roll, please, Editor Evan, later in the future.
Number 10 was number 13 last year, 23 2 years ago. It's Baze Malbus. He was once the most devoted guardian of us all. And he is one of the most wanted Rogue One figures of all.
And that closes out the crew on the bracket.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Does it close out Rogue One entirely? I don't know. I don't know.
Is it beautiful?
It's beautiful. Not quite yet. We're not quite there yet. But first we got to say hello to this next character. Another kind of Rebels character made an appearance in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Was number 46 last year. It was number 40 in 2021. Is number 9 this year. It's the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah.
Again, in every possible form or fashion. It's in the animated line. He's in the 6-inch line. He's in retro, but he is not in vintage collection.
He's in Mission Fleet.
Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah.
God, I'm going to see him at Walgreens next time I go in there. I'm sure as a 9-inch figure, and he'll be in the grocery store as a 5-inch figure. Why not?
There'll be a plush. It'll be awesome.
Yes. So I didn't say earlier with the Rebels characters, but next year is, of course, the 10th anniversary of the Rebels series. So I don't know if we'll see anything for that. Some of these anniversaries are kind of arbitrary. We're celebrating 15 years of the Clone Wars animated series 5 years early because there was a different animated series for it. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But let's celebrate the Grand Inquisitor, whether you like him from Rebels or you like him from Obi-Wan Kenobi. It'd be great to have in the line. And
that was one did you combine the points on that? Because some people specified Rebels, some Obi-Wan Kenobi, but it's intended to be the exact same.
It's intended to be the exact same. If you don't like I know it's controversial, his appearance, but that's the live action interpretation of the character at the moment.
And the vintage collection is for
and should be realistic interpretations, as if the animated characters were in live action. Should be, almost always has been. There's plenty of discussions about this if you want to hear other people's opinions about it.
Including on this podcast.
Including our
previous
very own
episodes.
Yes. Aren't you lucky?
I've heard it all, literally, so many times.
Well, it's a wonder. I'm trying to do something with revenge does wonders for the will to live, don't you think? But this next guy was also quite focused on revenge. Didn't do as much for his will to live. The highest rated Rogue One character, technically, number 8, Director Krennic. He was number 5 last year, number 13 in 2021. So another example of kind of leveling out in the middle.
So he's lower than he was last year.
Yeah, but again, let me see. So this year he had 2879 votes, and last year he had 2120. So more votes this year, more points this year, but lower. And again, this is another character who they could very incredibly easily get out based on the new Piet mold. Again, plenty of rank badges, yet another topic of frequent discussion lately. Once they get out the 6/6, they can do him fairly easily, I would say, with the new head sculpt and that beautiful sweet cape. I love a sweet cape.
Me too. Now, soft goods, of course.
Yes, of course. Because even, as with all the Rogue One characters, we have him as a 5 POA figure. It was pre-photoreal. Even his 6-inch figure doesn't have photoreal. And it has the plastic cape, which is what I'm thinking of the 6-inch figure, because all the other Rogue One characters, all the main characters were repacked over the last couple of years with photoreal and 6-inch. Still bummed that Jyn and Cassian didn't quite get photoreal for their vintage collection repacks.
But at least we have the new Cassian head that does make a pretty decent head swap.
So maybe Director Krennic is going to be in season 2 of Andor. I don't know. That's not a leading towards anything. I have no clue whatsoever, but I sort of wish that there was a little more Rogue One celebration around Andor, because they go back and they, when things become relevant again in newer media, it's a nice way to celebrate some of the older stuff that's fallen through the cracks. So maybe with season 2 of Andor, we can get a Krennic and a Saw and a Baze and a Bodhi and all this stuff. But we'll see. Krennic seems like the easiest one of the bunch to get out, but we shall see.
Well, we'll just try not to choke on our aspirations and hope he shows up.
Yes. So another character from the Rogue One world, if you will, Rogue One storytellers, creators. The last all-new, never-before-seen character on this list. Can you see where I'm going with this? Number 7 was number 2 on my list. Luthen Rael. Yep. Oh my God, I was so excited to see Luthen doing so well.
instant favorite character. That dude lit the world on fire, man. Like,
He rules. Some people say Andor's not toyetic, whatever. I say those people suck and are dumb, but that's fine. But Luthen, not only he's the best of all the worlds. He gives incredible monologues. He gives incredible acting performances. Literally, the character gives an acting performance when he's pretending to be the Coruscant art dealer.
which someone did specify they wanted that look.
Someone specified, not many, but yes.
I just saw one.
I combined some of his. Most people specified his green Ferrex trench coat from early on.
Yeah,
where it would go with the Cassian that we have. It's also the outfit that he wears when he meets with Saw and Tubes, and has that awesome. So I was going to say, it's the best of both worlds. He has amazing monologues. He also has awesome action scenes where he escapes with Cassian. He has a shootout with Cassian in the first arc. He would go great. We're always complaining we don't have any figures to go with that Cassian. That would be the figure to go with that Cassian.
100%.
Black Series got him and Mon Mothma, another character on the list. They also got Bix, who was a little bit lower, didn't quite make the bracket. But yeah, Luthen I was not surprised, but I was pleased. I was surprised to be sure, but a welcome one, another old guy.
Yeah.
They rag on getting these old guys in Vintage Collection, and yet you go into Target and you see 45 different old gray-haired dudes in the Black Series. It's like, can we have a little bit,
Yeah. That's
old
exactly
dudes are a big part of Star Wars. So.
Where my mind was going. It was just like,
yep.
Because I remember they specifically said like, no more old gray-haired dudes in the line. It's like,
in that same week we reveal in Target right now, you can go to Target, you can get Force Awakens Han, The Client, coming soon Luthen, all these old dudes, several Ursos and whatnot.
Yeah.
Again, he's old.
Tarkin.
Old
they did a Dooku.
Tarkin. Yes. So it's frustrating. One other Silver Fox, who puts I don't know what he puts in. He puts the corn on my cob. It's Cobb Vanth. I don't know, something like that. Number 6. He was number 14 last year. He has since, had a couple of cool scenes in Book of Boba Fett. We know that Cad Bane is coming. Cad Bane did well last year. He's not on the bracket this year because he is coming. Did not have to disqualify him. He just naturally did not make the bracket. There were a ton of votes for Cobb Vanth in general. There were a ton of votes for his armored appearance. There was fewer, but still a sizable number of votes for his Freetown version, or his, the outfit that he wears when he's in the Sandcrawler, in the flashbacks in Mandalorian, and at the end of his episode in The Mandalorian, without armor, basically, his red pajamas sort of look.
But if they did one begets the other. So,
yeah, I don't know how much. Yeah, I don't know how much it does, but in some form they could use some for both. Let's just say that.
The head.
Yes. Yeah, the head, the hands maybe, unless he had gloves on. Actually, he might have had gloves on. I don't know. I haven't compared. I haven't done my due diligence. Clearly, I did no research for this episode, as you could tell.
Yeah, you did know. Yeah, based on the thousands of tabs you have open. Jeez. But yes, Cobb Vanth. He's got several great appearances. He's got a Black Series figure. He's got a salad named after him. Like, we need him in the Vintage Collection. Like, well, come on.
Yes, all the Chuck Wendig fans clearly rallied around his breakout Aftermath character and put him on the list. All right, top 5.
Oh, man.
Have you noticed a couple characters who have not shown up yet?
Ooh, I think I know who the top 4 are.
We shall see. Do you though?
Oh,
all right,
okay.
number 5. Keeping the run of great gray-haired guys. It's been Obi-Wan Kenobi from A New Hope. He was number 24 last year, number 59 in 2021. So a huge jump up this year. Big year for Obi-Wan in general. Big year for this Obi-Wan in the bracket. So there you go.
He was on my first couple of years lists. He wasn't on my list this year because, as I said last week and in my top 25 episode, I have a feeling characters like Ben Obi-Wan Kenobi from A New Hope would do just fine without my measly little points from my dumb little list. So
he's doing just fine. I'll have more globally to say on him and a few other related characters in just a few minutes. You can probably guess who some of these other characters are going to be. Number 4 was number 30 last year, number 91 in 2021. It's Han Solo from A New Hope. The smuggler we all know and love. We're getting a Return of the Jedi version based on his Solo version. later this year, but we still have no word on a New Hope version. Again, I'll have more to say soon, but not quite yet.
Same.
Number 3, though, was number 1 last year.
Ooh.
Number 8 in 2021. You know him, you love him. It's Count Dooku. We totally blew right past the window for getting him in for the Attack of the Clones 20th. Could we get him in for Clone Wars 20th? I do not know. Again, a lot of his arms and some parts of his legs can probably be reused from other, up-to-date modern figures, but
I would be mad if we finally got Count Dooku. I mean, I wouldn't be mad because I'd be stoked to get the figure, but I'd be mad if we got him and he was on a Clone Wars card with the Clone Wars 20 anniversary and not an Attack of the Clones card. I would be, I'm not mad, just disappointed.
I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. And if they gave him the animated styling, so he had like a really long face and the like lines on his beard and stuff. Here you go, guys. Here's what you wanted. Here's what you asked for.
Yeah, you like that animated styling? You can have it. Puke.
Yeah, not so much. So,
how did his Tales of the Jedi appearance get any votes?
Yes, he got really close, actually.
Oh, really?
Let me pull that up.
Because that version was on my list. Because again, I had no doubt his film appearance would do fine.
I didn't combine them, but just to...
they're very different. Yeah.
He was... Jedi Master Count Dooku was number 96. So he made the top 100.
The top 100. That's awesome.
Yes. And just while we're on the subject, Yaddle was number 111. So close to making the top 100. So it was a lot higher than last year where she was... I don't know what she was last year.
Was she even mentioned
less than
last year?
Yeah, I don't think so. When you put the characters in these awesome scenes, in these awesome shows, you can have people get more excited about buying merchandise from them. Hello?
Yeah.
Has anybody at Lucasfilm thought about this?
If you make the toys when the things are happening. But
all right, so top 2, you can probably guess. However, which is which? Number 2 was number 4 last year. Number 36 2 years ago. It's Luke Skywalker from Tatooine, from A New Hope.
Which means...
Number 1, going into the bracket, number 1 most wanted vintage collection figure based on the lists for 2023 is Princess Leia Organa from A New Hope in her white gown with the hair buns.
Obviously, to the TVC world, she's still royalty.
She's still royalty. So
yes.
Last year she was number 3. 2 years ago she was number 14. Globally on the A New Hope guys, like I said, Leia got double the number of votes this year that Dooku got last year, which is Dooku also did, almost double what he did last year still. But not only were they on a lot of lists, they're also ranked very highly on all the lists. So it was interesting because, Luke and Leia did really well last year. Han and Ben were a little lower. C-3PO was way lower. Chewbacca did well as well because he's another one from... All these characters were the first characters put on vintage cards with super articulated figures. Hasbro did not forget them. Lucasfilm did not forget them. They were the first.
Mm-hmm.
However, that was just so long ago that now everyone's upset and wants newer versions of them, which is interesting to see. And I think a couple years ago, people are going to say this is because we expanded the voting to more places and that really there's just a bunch of, OT fans out there that only want these guys. I don't think that's necessarily true because it's interesting seeing how level everything else has been the past 2 years with some minor variations. But I remember a couple years ago, there were a lot of people on their lists that said, I'm not putting the A New Hope mains on my list. I'm not putting any Finish the 96 characters on my list. I think they're going to do those soon. That was at the time of we were getting some of the Lucasfilm 50th anniversary.
And Patrick figures. Had directly said something about the finishing the 96.
They didn't say finish the 96, but they had talked about the original 96 with the Gonk droid and Snaggletooth, Zutton, not Tequil. So there was more conversation at the time. Obviously, we were doing posts about it and stuff like that. So I think people were assuming that they were coming. And I don't know why there's been so much conversation about these guys in particular the last few years. It's not an anniversary. It's not, I don't know. Obviously, they're the main heroes of the original movie. they're the main heroes of the original trilogy overall, and some would say Star Wars overall. But
I think it's that we're just a breath away from VC 300 and the original characters that are characters, like they are Star Wars to many people,
sure,
are not properly in the line.
I will say to caveat that, not that people care about the numbering nearly as much as
no, I just mean in general. We're that so many figures. Yes. It. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you for clarifying. I was like, wait a minute. Yes. I think that's true. I think, because people, they see these new characters and they're like, well, that's great. Why do we have, I know people whine about the Mithril or something. It's like, okay, well, it's an awesome figure is why we have him.
Yeah.
And it's a cool character from cool scenes. But as we get further and further from almost 20 years past VOTC and the first wave and even Luke and Leia were not great even at the time. Han was mind-blowingly good at the time. And then with every passing release, of course, up to the Endor Han 2 years ago, with the belt just straight up falling off of his legs as soon as we got him.
God, man, how did they still have that? How'd they still have that tooling?
Shocking. I have no idea. And so, as we said before, we are getting the new Return of the Jedi Han this year. Not new, but new-ish. I don't think any of the new parts can be used to make a New Hope Han. Maybe his upper arms, but it's just interesting to see that. Overall, could we talk a little bit globally about the bracket now?
Yes, please. Now that we've run
for the next 3 hours.
Real quick, just now's a great time for you listeners to either hit pause, take a deep breath, focus, clear your minds, and we'll jump right back in.
So, a couple things. There were 13 new characters on the bracket this year, which, just to review, the AT-AT driver, Ki-Adi-Mundi, Ewok Village Leia, Garindan, Obi-Wan Kenobi Leia, Mon Mothma from Andor, Two Tubes, Fifth Brother, C-3PO, Pelimato, Jango, Dedramiro, and Luthen Rail. The characters who did not return from last year are somewhere on one of my lists. The Tusken Chieftain moved from 64 to 82. Grief Karga Season 1 moved from 60 to 67. Very, very close. Still very wanted. Max Rebo was 59, is now 76. Han Solo Force Awakens was 56, is now 79. Omega, as I said, was 52, is now 84. And Migs Mayfeld was on the bracket the first year. We got his Season 2 appearance kind of after the last bracket, but last year we counted those towards Season 1 versions. So that he was number 41 then, and now Season 1 is 70 this year. So again, close to getting on the bracket. Yeah. Went from 838 points to 577. Maybe since we got the Season 2 version, that scratched a little bit of the itch.
Kind of like with what happened with Cal Kestis.
Yep, exactly. And then, he was number 8 last time. And now the Jedi Fallen Order version is number 95 this time, probably since we just got the Jedi Survivor version. So, again, a lot of the ones on the bracket, they're kind of stable year after year. So you see that as we expand it to more people and new sites, it's nothing wildly, insanely different. It's people do generally kind of want the same stuff. The cream rises to the top. This little corner might only want Jabba's Palace guys. This little corner might only want Clone Wars guys or whatever. But when you throw it all in a big pot, this is what comes out. And it's remarkably consistent year after year. You asked about media representation?
I did, because I know that there's been plenty of talk of, people that's just like, no new media. Well, bye. Yeah. No, thank you. Keep that opinion to yourself. I think it's a really healthy spread we have here of both old and new. And again, the evergreen that is the OT core characters being the top of the list. This is very reflective that, there are, as you said at the top of the show or earlier in the show, there is a lot of overlap in a lot of folks' lists and a lot of these communities. And it's like, even though I didn't put the OT ones on there, I still absolutely want those. And I do think it's absurd that we don't have them yet. I think they're long overdue. Yeah,
would be awesome additions to the line. I think chronologically in story order when I do this. So going through that from every single story ever, I'll tell you how many there are.
Perfect.
From Knights of the Old Republic / Legends in general, there's 1, Darth Revan. Phantom Menace, 1, Ki-Adi-Mundi. A lot of people specified 2 or 3. It's the same look in all the movies.
Okay.
So some of these I defaulted to their original appearance. A lot of them, they're in Clone Wars and they went to Rebels or whatever, vice versa. So 1 from Legends, 1 from Phantom Menace globally, 2 from Attack of the Clones. Count Dooku appeared in episode 3. Also, 5 from Clone Wars, 4 from Bad Batch, and you could say those Bad Batch guys were also in Clone Wars.
Real quick, just sticking on the prequel theme. Last year, Count Dooku was the only prequel character.
Yes.
Prequel film character, not including the Clone Wars, on the bracket.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good to see a little more prequel representation.
Yeah. And I think in the first year and the last year, there were some of the prequel Jedi, Plo Koon, Shaak Ti, some of these guys, they were kind of bubbling around the edge of the bracket. So, once I didn't even want to get into the top 100 right now, but we will at some point. We're focusing on the bracket right now, but you will see more prequel love a little bit further down. Yes. So, Jedi Fallen Order, 1, good old second sister again. 2 from Solo. 3 from Obi-Wan Kenobi. You could say the 2 Inquisitors are from Rebels, kind of, but and then 7 others from Rebels, and maybe you could say Thrawn's not from Rebels. It's a whole thing. This is why it gets confusing.
This
3
is hard,
from
guys.
Andor. This is difficult, yes. 3 from Andor, 5 from Rogue One, 8 from A New Hope, 2 from The Empire Strikes Back, 10 from Return of the Jedi, which also did very well last year with a lot of the, it's Return of the Jedi 40th season. We got a lot of prominent Return of the Jedi fans in the community, of course.
It's a very toyetic film, and it
has
been since day one. So it makes sense that people...
Even as much as people love The Empire Strikes Back, it's a smaller film with... It's more character focused. It's,
and they're all wearing brown and stuff.
They're all wearing... I'll just say real quick, as much as people rag on Vel Sartha for being a lady in a brown jacket, that's most of the characters in the original trilogy. Luke is a guy in a white shirt. People rag on Holdo for being a lady in a dress. That's Leia. That's Mon Mothma. Come on, guys. Leia is your most wanted figure, and so you officially can't rag on Holdo for being a lady in a dress anymore.
Other reasons, sure, but yes.
Plain dress, yeah. Anyway. Mandalorian got 5 this time. Book of Boba Fett got 1. Rise of Skywalker got 4. And that's the end of the list, so I should have phrased that differently. Rise of Skywalker got 4.
That's a really solid spread. I'm pleased with that. I harp on that whole media representation and a diverse line of offerings.
Just highly wanted stuff from a lot of different sources from every trilogy, from maybe not every single film, but from every trilogy, from all these various shows and stuff. But sorry.
No, it's just there's a lot of Star Wars, and there's a lot of different fans. There's a lot of people with different entry points to Star Wars. So gates open, come on in. I like that. I think that is vital to have that diverse, expansive offering. Strive for a toy line that is as expansive and different and cool and just diverse and crazy with backgrounders and main characters. Make it as much as the media it comes from. The whole Star Wars universe itself is a big, big place. It's a whole galaxy.
Right. Oh my God.
Yeah,
it spans generations, hundreds of years, sometimes thousands of years, depending on which story you're looking at. Kind of to that point, I mean, a few things. I was trying to look up how many Mandalorian figures were on the last few years. It feels like there might be less overall, but just because we've gotten so many over the past few years, it's been so well covered, which is awesome to see. And I wish everything could be that well covered, but it can't, whatever. And I'll just say there's a contingent now who thinks Return of the Jedi is the greatest movie of all time, and that everything since then is either, not worth their time or is actively
Pop
bad.
Culture stopped in 1983.
Yep. But I just think it's so funny because back when Return of the Jedi came out, that was kind of the black sheep of the original trilogy. Don't say it wasn't. You know that it was.
Yep.
Up until the prequels, up until Jar Jar came along, the Ewoks were everybody's punching bag. There was that article, I remember, it was 50 reasons why Return of the Jedi sucks. That was in one of the... not official, but it was one of the big fan Star Wars books at the time. Stuff like that. Everyone complained about the Muppets. They complained it was a retread of A New Hope. I love all Star Wars. I love different things about all Star Wars, but it's just funny seeing, or now we grew up with the prequels. A lot of the older fans were crapping on the prequels after the Return of the Jedi hate subsided, and then they became the untouchable Holy Trilogy that apparently everybody had always liked from the beginning. And then the prequels were the punching bag. And then now all of a sudden, okay, it's actually the 6 George Lucas films. Those are the good ones. Everything else after that is bad.
Yeah.
And now it's going to be, just it keeps the goalposts keep moving and stuff. Everybody hated Wicket. They hated C-3PO, and they hated Wicket, then they hated Jar Jar, then they hated Ahsoka, and now these characters become more beloved with time and stuff.
They hated Ezra. They
hated Ezra. Yeah, I think the voices calmed down over time, I think, and then so I don't know. The appreciation and the love stands the test of time, I think, which is interesting to see. So I guess don't be a dick about the stuff that you don't like.
Well, and
I don't know. I don't know why I'm getting on this tangent, but you know what I mean.
No, it's it's the people who Star Wars was made for as they age up. Because I don't remember the time that George Lucas famously said Star Wars is for 50-year-old men. Like specifically, no, it's
for the generation that watched it when they were 6 and should age up with them for the next 100 years and never appeal to anybody else younger than that.
Yeah, so of course the conversation is going to change for that when these things that meant a lot and were formative to people as they get older and learn how to articulate their thoughts and their tastes and really contextualize things. And, defend stuff or at least put out positive points of view on things that from when they were kids. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also funny to me too, that it's very fitting that we have a fan base that is as into revisionist history as George Lucas is, the master of revisionist history. So
I always meant that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure you did, George. Love you, guy.
Sure. Oh, man. So speaking of contentious topics, you wanted to know how many of these are present in the Black Series. I'm asking your questions for you.
Thank you. No, that's good.
And I'm also answering them for you. There are 40 of these characters. 40 of the 64 are already in Black Series. Wait, is that correct? 1, 2.
That pisses me off.
Yeah, there are 24 that are not in Black Series, according to my calculations.
That's frustrating. Again, good for Black Series collectors. You got a diverse line. Great for you. That is frustrating that we have to beg year after year for these. And
and it shows, again, not only are fans in general not that far apart on what they want in general, but vintage collection fans, we want a lot of the same stuff that the Black Series is getting. We want all the stuff I want all the stuff in 3.75 that's already in 6-inch, as I've gone over before. Balance of Scales, Hasbro, all that stuff.
Yep.
But yes. I'll let you ask the next question.
All right. Well, hey, I know as we were going, I noticed a few familiar faces from my personal top 25. I didn't keep track of that, and I know some were on yours too. So how did our personal top 25s do, John?
Not bad. Not bad. Out of my top 25, 11 are on the bracket, and 2 of them just barely missed out. I'm giving myself a little bit of leeway there. You had me beat. Oh, actually, I counted Tyler and Lewis as well.
Oh, please.
As if they're here in spirit. Tyler had me beat a little bit with 13 of his choices. Sorry, the male and female Sith fleet officers did not quite make the bracket individually. But
some people have messed up lists.
Yeah. Yeah. You got one more than Tyler. You got 14 out of your top 25 onto the bracket.
Yes.
Lewis kicked all our asses, all our bums, he might say.
Arses.
Our arses. He got 15 out of his top 25 onto the bracket.
Nice. Well,
so good for all of us.
I hope I can carry that momentum into how I fill out my bracket so that I'm not dead last again in our little bracket scoring competition this year.
So are we filling it out how we think it's going to go or how we want it to go? Both?
To be determined.
I'm doing both. All right. I don't even know how we're voting on this stuff yet. I still got to make the bracket as we record this. We'll think about it off mic. We'll be on mic, but...
You guys are getting a peek behind the curtain because, again, clearly, I don't edit this show.
I've been so bogged down in finding the list. We have not discussed actually how to get the voting going. But at some point next week, you'll be voting. I don't know how. I don't know where. I don't know when.
Leave that to me.
All right. So we left the list to you guys. So thank you all for pointing people towards submitting lists. Thank you for hosting places. Thanks to our friends in the community. Thanks to our friends, followers, fans. Not our fans, but fan communities.
Fans of Star Wars and collecting Star Wars that happen to align with the things we like.
I just like nice F words,
Yeah.
Not to pull a Dom Treadle, all our family,
Oh.
Oh my God. So yes, and
This episode was anything but fast and furious.
6 hours later, anybody still awake?
Yep.
Oh my God.
Oh man. All right. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to chat about in terms of the top 64, the bracket, before
I don't think so.
before you can
We'll have
tune
more-
out and I just ramble for a little bit?
We'll have so many more breakdowns. Probably not this month. Probably April, May, June, July, next year. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah. That also means podcast work for me. Yeah. I just said that I don't edit this show. Hey guys, I really edit this show. Oh man. Oh, all right. So we good to kind of lead out then?
Wrap it up.
All right. Well, hey, gang, it obviously goes without saying that you can find this year's March Madness bracket on our social media home at SWTVC on Instagram. What are your thoughts on this year's brackets, guys? How'd your personal top 25 lists fare? You just heard how ours did. How about yours? Sorry, we're not going to count them for you. We've done a lot of counting. So, and by we, John has done a lot of counting. Yes. Did any of your favorites or any of your top picks make the bracket? Are you surprised by anything? Are you pointing at a couple of things being like, yep, that tracks? Join in the discussion and let's talk about it. Let's talk about all of this fun stuff, the stuff we love, the figures we want, this fun event for the community. Let's come together and chat. So fill out a bracket of how you think this tournament will go or how you want this tournament to go. Doesn't matter. Have fun with it. Definitely, though, share it with us. If you post it on Instagram, be sure to tag us and use the hashtag SWTVC March Madness. It may not be up yet on the day this episode drops, but we will have a printable version of the bracket for y'all to fill out. So stay tuned and we'll make sure to share it. So just pay attention to our Instagram. Things will happen. Personal note, I should probably be smarter. I alluded to it about how I fill out my bracket. So I have a shot at winning the coveted Shivo that currently resides in Carlo's collection. I'm not sure I can handle having the Han of Shame mocking me above my desk for a whole other year. So I'm going to try to be a little more strategic. So voting begins at some point in the next week. Again, stay tuned. I'm sure we'll have details imminently. If you're listening to this within the release day or 24 hours, 48 hours later, we'll probably have it figured out. But again, for us right now, that's the future. We don't want to live there. So voting will, though, be on our SWTVC Instagram page. Polls will also be, I'm assuming, John, correct me if I'm wrong, run on the Star Wars The Vintage Collection Facebook group. There will also be a non-social media reliant polling option as well that will, if all goes right, be shared on polling days by our community partners. Hopefully we still got to work that out. Flying by the seat of our pants, guys. It's March Madness. We're putting the madness into it real hard. I'm still putting the finishing touches on that personally, but stay tuned to our Instagram posts and stories for any and all important updates for this year's March Madness, bracket stuff, voting, whatever. Lastly, if you like this show, you like March Madness, or just generally like what SWTVC is doing, or you think we're kind of cool, or you're seething with rage but feeling like you should listen to your therapist and put some good out into the world, please consider dropping us a rating and review. There's a handy link in our Instagram bio to make it even easier for you. The positive ratings and reviews and support from you guys, the community, it all makes a huge impact on our ability to spread the good word of TVC. And plus, it really means a lot to us on a personal level, at least for me. How about you, John?
Yeah, not to me.
Perfect.
Just kidding. Say nice things about us, please.
Speaking of nice things about us, I decided I want to share a recent 5-star review that we got from a person whose username is Scott Whitehouse. I assume that their name is probably Scott Whitehouse via Apple Podcasts. Brilliant podcast with a good mix of serious discussion, irreverent joking, and general banter from a lovely bunch of guys. I love this podcast and am excited to listen every time a new one drops. The annual March Madness campaign does a great service to fans and collectors. Hasbro should be listening and taking notes, and must be a huge amount of work, but all done in good humor by the SWTVC team. Scott, thank you for the review. That was a really nice thing to read the other night. I appreciate that. And yes, John can attest, it is a huge amount of work.
That's a lot. And that reminds me, thank you, Scott. Cobb Vanth's deputy is also named Scott. He didn't get a single vote, but, I wish I put him on my list now to thank Scott here. So thank you, Scott.
So next year, Scott's Tots.
Next year.
All right. Well, on that note, everyone, that does it for this episode of the SWTVC podcast. Stay tuned all March long to make sure you don't miss a second of this year's March Madness action. And as always, deep breath. Keep 375 alive. Back TVC. Balance the scales, Hasbro. Finish the 96. Vote for Velkin. Time for Tonica. Bring me Ben Solo. Do it for Dryden. Go for Papa Palpatine. Simp for Simaloo. Fill out those brackets. And may the Force be with you.
This episode was brought to you by Sportsmanship. Resist the urge to burn it all down. Sportsmanship.